Baidu's price has been extremely volatile this year, going from $216 on the 1st of January to a high of $355 in February, before seeing a 50% drop to $174 a month later on 25th of March. Most companies see smaller price moves over years, so owning Baidu over the last 6 months has felt like being on a roller coaster. No wonder that investors are not sure how to price the company. It currently trades at just over $205, but what is the real valuation of Baidu? Stick around to find out and smash the like button in the meantime to help the channel. So, what is Baidu's fair value? Its real valuation? The easiest way to answer this question is through models, so we will start with Finbox's 5-year Gordon Growth Model. Given the historical performance of Baidu and a discount rate of 10.8 to 11.8%, this model is giving us an estimated fair value between $298 and $348, with the best estimation being $320, which gives us a roughly 54% upside on Baidu's current price. However, some people criticize the Gordon Growth Model and say that it is too optimistic and sometimes unreliable. So, let's look at the 10-year discounted cash flow model instead. I like to be extra conservative with models so that I've got that margin of safety that Benjamin Graham finds so important. So, let's take the risk-free rate of the US government bonds at 2% and set the equity risk premium to 5.4% using the S&P as a benchmark. Then multiplied by the beta of Baidu, which is between 1.1 and 1.2. This gives us a discount rate of 8.3%. In terms of free cash flow expectations, the consensus is that Baidu's free cash flow will dip in 2021 and 2022 before recovering, so let's assume that, and also a conservative cash flow growth of about 3% thereafter over the next 8 years until 2030. Add to that the terminal value of Baidu's free cash flow using the same discount rate of 8.3%, and we arrive at a fair value of $307, which is slightly lower than the Gordon Growth Model. The caveat here is that the calculation is done using the Chinese currency values, so to get our US dollar figure, we first need to convert it. I've used the current exchange rate of 6.45 yuan per $1, so any changes could affect the fair value of the stock, although it is likely that it will not have such a big effect. Finally, let's compare it to a basic earnings growth model, which again assumes a tapering of future earnings by 10% every year. Most analysts predict that Baidu will see a slight dip in earnings in 2021, before getting a roughly 12 to 15% annual growth after. So, I will assume an annualized earnings growth rate of 10%. When we extrapolate Baidu's earnings over the next 10 years and assume a discount rate of 8% and a PE sale of 30, which is historically normal for Baidu, we get a fair value of about $277. Before I move on, I want to ask, what is your favorite valuation model? How do you value companies? Let me know down below. Okay, so far we have a price range between $277 and $348 based on 3 different models that look at earnings and free cash flow. Obviously, those models do not take into consideration political risk, regulation, potential competitors, and so on, so it is down to us to determine whether we want to be optimistic or conservative. However, let us also check the analyst consensus. What does Wall Street think about the fair value of Baidu? I'm not saying that we should blindly trust the analyst consensus, but seeing it always gives you some idea of how Wall Street feels about the stock. According to Yahoo Finance, the average analyst consensus is about $310, which is towards the higher end of our spectrum, and in my opinion, this is actually justified. Why? Well, it's simple. Baidu has only missed 1 out of its last 18 earnings. Not only that, it has beaten its last 4 earnings by 20 to 50%. We can see that the company is doing well, we can see that it is trading at a good valuation right now. Baidu has a PE of about 20.3 and a forward PE of 18.2 compared to a historical average of about 30. In comparison, Google has a PE of 33.6 and a forward PE of 26.6, while being 23 times bigger than Baidu. Baidu also has a big chunk of cash, which is more than twice its long-term debt, so Baidu essentially has about $12.3 billion of free cash on a market cap of $72 billion. That basically means that we currently get a discount of about 17% on Baidu. So, what is my verdict? This is obviously not financial advice, but I think that the conservative estimate for Baidu stands at $280, which is understandable given the regulatory climate in China. However, I am feeling optimistic about the earnings potential of Baidu, so $320 feels like a fair price for this Chinese tech giant. I think that right now investors are waiting to see whether Baidu can resume its good performance, so their next earnings report will be crucial. If we see that Baidu is continuing its record of beating analyst earning estimates, then it is likely that the price will jump a lot, and $320 will be a decent price target given that Baidu previously reached $355. What do you think? What is Baidu's fair value? Let me know in the comments below. Also, feel free to check my other analysis of Baidu where I dig into their latest earnings and their business. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe to help grow the channel. Thank you for watching and I will see you in the next video.